welcome to The One Show with Matt Baker.
And Alex Jones. Now, tonight we are joined by a man who could have had his pick of any profession.
Yeah, he could have been an actor.
Yeah, he actually had the chance to be a spy.
Unbelievable. And almost, but we are stretching a point here, almost became a professional footballer.
Please welcome, formerly of this parish, Adrian Childs.
Nice to see you, Adrian.
When you say stretching a point,
Yeah.
look, I was nearly all of those things, but only in my head. I did have an interview to be a spy, actually. I was never going to be a professional
How did that come about?
So when I left university, I broke my leg, and I didn't know what I was going to do, so I filled in my civil service exams, failed them both, because I wanted to be a diplomat. And then I got this piece of paper saying there's other government work for which you might be considered.
Yeah.
And then so I bumbled down to London. I was on crutches, so I bumbled down to an address in central London. And then this woman interviewed me for 3 hours. I said, what's this about? And she said, in the end, she said, well, I can't tell you what it's about. I said, well, thank heavens for that. And she said, I'm from sort of British intelligence. She said, and then she looked up at me and she said, that's MI5. And I mean, you know when you feel the ground shift between...
And you had no idea?
No, well, I was starting to dawn on me. I thought, what else can it be? It's funny, when I told my mum the story, she misheard and thought the woman in the end had said, I'm from MFI. Which would have been a lot of fun.
I mean, did you hear back then? What
I got rejected, obviously.
Well, of course.
I've been an awful spy. I remember she said something to me at the time. She said, I think the issue with you is, it'd be a very in-depth interview. It was like, what were you like when you were 7? Did you have friends? What did you do in the playground? That kind of thing. You know, it was bizarre stuff. But I remember he said, I think you've got a need for recognition in whatever you do. You know, you need to sort of show off a bit and talk about it, which... And then I ended up a broadcaster. That was plainly right. I mean...
But see, all of this, Adrian, could be a cover-up.
It is. It is a cover-up, in fact.
You could be undercover right now. Well, fortunately for us, you stuck to TV. You didn't become a spy, and we will talk all about the doc a little bit later.
Now, overnight, we have had a super response to our film about unreturned NHS equipment that we showed yesterday. Now, first thing this morning, we picked up the phone and we rang Kevin, who, interestingly... Well, actually, you tell him, Kevin, where were you when we rang you?
I was in the A&E this
A&E?
morning. Yeah, I was in the A&E for personal reasons. I just went to get an X-ray, but it was great. I could just sense that people were looking and thinking, well, what is he here for, you know?
Sure.
But just jumping straight to it, we've had 500 emails since the shout-out last night. The response has been absolutely brilliant. So thank you to everybody that's emailed in. If I could just email...
What's the feeling then?
The feeling generally is that people are frustrated because they're trying to retain all of their medical aids and they're being refused.
Hang on, did you take those crutches back you had, Adrian?
I did. I got through 2 pairs.
Good.
They just wore out, but I promise I did take them back.
Excellent. All right.
We believe you. Yeah, we believe you. Well, Susan's been in touch. Now, Susan says that they don't want them. They don't reuse them, and it also costs Susan £3.50 to park in the hospital car park as well.
When she wanted to take them back,
Yeah, just to take them back. So people are finding difficulty there, so frustration there. Geraldine emailed in and said they didn't really want them. They don't want them back. They said it cost them more to clean the items and recycle them than to buy new ones.
Really?
So, but you said yesterday, you know, a bit of wipe, a bit of sterilising.
A little wipe down it, isn't it?
The good news is that if you live in Lincoln, then you've got to say thank you to Bob. Bob, you're an absolute champion. Now, Bob works for Fleetline Dispatch Limited. Now, they're a local same-day courier company in Lincoln. We will welcome members of the public to drop off their unused NHS equipment at our depot, and we will deliver all items, and this is the best bit, free of charge, back to the Lincoln County Hospital. So, Bob, brilliant news. Well done.
We need more Bobs.
Yeah.
We need more
and
Bobs.
Lincoln are going to take them, aren't they?
We've confirmed that Lincoln will definitely take them. Now, we realise that this is a complicated situation. You know, there's different policies right across the UK with their trusts. Some take them back, some don't. All we're trying to do is to just see if we can just find some solutions, try and find a solution where we can help the NHS save some money. And the only way that we can do that is with your help. So please, 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 keep your emails coming, and what we'll do is we'll give you an update next week.
Fab.
Well, Kevin, aside from this subject, you've been looking into something else for us, haven't you? So
yeah, I've been looking at the Royal British Legion. Now, they've upset some of its members in its women's section, and what they're doing now is they're moving heaven on earth to try and bring them back. And this is how I got on. Remembrance Sunday. Final preparations as service people, veterans and the public gather to pay their respects. The Poppy Appeal has been run by the Royal British Legion since 1921. A fitting, sombre and respectful commemoration. But behind the scenes, the mood is anything but. There's trouble. at the Legion. Meet the Aylsham branch of the Royal British Legion's women's section.
We felt as though we'd been wiped under the carpet.
They're quitting.
They have slapped us in the face, stabbed us in the back.
And taking their fundraising firepower elsewhere.
Yes, it is upsetting.
The Royal British Legion was formed after the First World War to support ex-service people. Alongside it, an independent but sister organisation called the Royal British Legion Women's Section. Its role? To support the partners and families of people who'd served. But a cost-saving merger between the two wings has been on the cards, threatening the independence of the women's section. It sent membership tumbling. Numbers are disputed, but we've discovered dozens of branches from Durham to the Isle of Wight have closed or are planning to, including Hazel Kingswood's branch in Norfolk.
There's 150 years' worth of membership and work amongst this group here.
We caught up with them in September. They see the merger idea as demotion and fear the unique identity of the women's section is being eroded.
I think they've taken away the women's right to make their own decision about what organisation they belong to. The women's section of the Royal British Legion was formed in 1921 alongside the Legion to work as a semi-independent organisation, and we've done that admirably for 95 years. We were told our central committee that's based in head office would be done away with, as well as county committees. We need to downsize and streamline.
They're quitting. Former Wren Leslie Wilcox says they've had no choice.
I am an ex-service woman, and so I know what it is to work for an organisation where you do have to follow orders. But in this case, we're all volunteers. It's just sad that it has to end in this way.
We have walked away and they can get on without the benefit of our service.
Then just before Armistice Day, the Legion announced a stand-down of its merger idea. The women's section will retain its national status, national standard, ceremonial dress and the chairman's seat on the Board of Trustees. But has the olive branch of peace come too late? Here at Manchester's Memorial, what do people involved with other charities for service people make of it?
We're disappointed with that, so we'd obviously like them to stay and look after everybody. There's lots of people out there that like us ladies to help them.
Do you think it's more modern to have the men and the women working together?
Yeah, it's got to be. There's no other way really, because it's cost, isn't it? It's always cost.
The feeling here is to survive, charities do need to modernise.
It's the 21st century, they should work together, they do a lot of good. Combined, they could do, I think, a lot more.
The charity agrees it must work more efficiently, but it is promising a long-term future for a self-governed women's section. And there's even an apology from the chairman, Marilyn Humphrey.
I am saddened to hear of any branch who wants to close. I would like to say that I am very, very sorry. We're looking to make how we deliver our welfare more efficient and how we're going to make the best use of the hard-earned money that our ladies have raised. I would urge each and every branch to reconsider and please come back and join with us again. Let's stand united.
Will that be enough? Back in Norfolk, what's become of the former members of the women's section? They're plotting their next move. Hazel may have quit the Legion, but she hasn't quit volunteering. Today, she's at the Radar Museum.
I'm going to carry on with voluntary work for as long as I can. Sadly, there's no way back into the Legion for me personally, but I shall volunteer because it's what I grew up doing and I love doing it.
And it'll be interesting to see how many of those volunteers come back after that heartfelt plea from the chairman, won't it?
It will. Now, our sofa has filled up somewhat, because joining Adrian now is former footballer Bob Hazel and his wife Joy, and they both feature, Adrian, in this documentary about this football match. Now, it seems remarkable these days, but just give us an idea of why this match in particular was so special. We're talking 1979 here.
Yeah, well, over the last few months, people asked me what you're doing. I said, I'm making a documentary about a whites versus blacks football match. And it does immediately attract attention.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Where?
yeah.
In this country, here they are coming out onto the pitch at West Brom. It was a benefit game for Len Cantello, one of our players who'd been there for 10 years, and someone decided to get a crowd together. We'd have white players versus black players playing, which kind of felt progressive then, didn't it, Bob?
It did, very much so.
In that era. Now, it seems absolutely horrendous. So, I mean, the film is basically examining about how things have changed, how much better things are, and how much things have still got some way to go, actually. And it's... I mean, Bob played for my sworn enemies, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm a West Brom fan, but we've become very close friends making this now, and all is forgiven. But just the level of racism. I was there, and I kind of saw it watching my team, but I'd almost forgotten. I needed reminding. I mean, Bob just reminded me just how awful it was. You can... Don't use the actual words now, Bob, but, I mean, just the abuse. You could hear every word, couldn't you?
Yes, because the abuse was very bad, and it's great to know that the authorities are doing more about making sure that they take it off the terraces, because many of us black players felt that we were left alone, and, you know, the authorities, whether they was the police, the FA or whoever, they didn't do much to help.
And understandably, watching the documentary, you can see that you still harbour a lot of anger. You know, it really comes out. How has it affected your memories, though, of that time when you were playing?
It doesn't really affect... It's only when I start to talk about incidents that happened.
Right.
Because, as I said on the film, those were the best days of my life. And when I look back at it, I look back with great pleasure. But when I look back at some of the incidents that took place, it does really frustrate me and bring, you know, and it does bring about an anger in me.
It sort of sullies the memory a bit. So you've got the beautiful memory, then suddenly, you know, you can hear that, you know, unpleasant chant or something. It must be awful.
And Adrian, what was your kind of perspective on the players' perception of what that game meant at the time?
Well, I was a bit nervous going into it, thinking, well, I felt it was progressive, but I'm a middle-class white boy, so it's not really my core. But speaking to Bob and his teammates that day, well, I mean, you felt proud, didn't you? And you had a dressing room all of your own, because you'd always been minority in the past, and there you were. All of you said how great it was to have that dressing room for yourself.
It was. I mean, it was... Well, it was just good to have so many of us together so that we could come out, because... with footballers, everybody thinks, well, I'm the best. And we wanted to go out there and show that we were good footballers, and we wanted to go and show that the Albion at the time was a very good team. And we could match them, and we could give a show to a lot of people who wouldn't come to the games normally.
No.
And what the families went through, so it just...
Well, that's what we're going to say now. I mean, Joy, you were the one who was dealing with it at home. I mean, you'd go to the games and you'd see it firsthand, but also you knew Bob as the man he was at home, and you as a family. I mean, how was that then?
I can say it was quite difficult some of the times, because especially when it was away matches, you'd be watching to see what the score was going to be.
Yeah.
And if it was a losing score, then you tend to know what kind of frame of mind he was going to be in. So you do your best at home to ensure that everything was as smooth as it could be when he came home, that his red pea soup would be ready when he came home.
Joy, I mean, even on the terraces...
You should have some of that soup tonight.
On the actual terraces, because, I mean, you talk about this in the film, actually, that other black players, their families couldn't actually go to the games because they couldn't hear what was echoing around. I mean, how did you cope with that?
When I heard it, I just had to hold it down as best as I could, because, of course, it hurt, you know, and you could scan around the ground, and the players' wives who were sitting around you, they would tend to look at me and say, you know, they'd just hold it together, because you would want to say something, but it wasn't the right arena. If there were children around you, you'd have to hold it down and
Of
keep
course.
quiet.
She even got chased once.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Got chased across the pitch at Notts County. Very unpleasant incident.
along the river.
It was awful. It was
Gosh,
awful.
we can imagine. But there is one touching moment in the film where you've been sent a letter after you've been sent off in Arsenal, and we've got the letter here with us. Here it is, anyway, for all of you at home.
Dear Bob, I was a member of the North Bank at the Arsenal Cup tie. I would just like to tell you that not all of those at the match shared the opinions of the minority who were giving you stick. Take no notice of any crowds and answer their jeers with skill and with best wishes. And what was really beautiful about this letter is from a girl, and at the time she was aged 14 and a half.
So, as I said, we've got the letter here. You've kept it all these years. Why did you keep it then, Joy?
I kept it because that one stood out more than any of the others, because the Snoop Dogg
Yes, we love Snoop,
headline,
yeah.
and also her age, because what brought it home to me was she must have been a young child of character, and to be able to put pen to paper for what she saw showed a lot of integrity, and she wanted to put something right.
Bob got terrible racial abuse
He
that
did.
day.
Yeah.
You know,
He
it's
did.
stuff that we couldn't even show in the documentary.
But not from the opposing player. That all came from.
Do you ever wonder whatever happened to this 14-and-a-half-year-old?
That's exactly what I was going to say now.
You do?
I wonder what type of young woman, powerful young woman, that she could have become now.
Would you like to find out?
Oh, yeah.
Wonder no more, Joy.
She's here.
Oh, my word.
Sarah, in
this
your
is
cup.
good work. That's incredible.
There you are, Sarah. Go and say hello.
Thank you very much.
Well, you've kind of heard it, Sarah, but Joy, what would you like to say to Sarah? I mean, it's hard, obviously, we've just hit you with this. There you are.
Oh, my God.
Time, love.
I guess a thank you is in there somewhere.
Without a doubt, because I couldn't believe a young girl could write something like that.
Yeah. Well, exactly, 14 and a half. I mean, what did you go on to do then, Sarah, after school?
It's part of what inspired me to get involved in politics.
Right.
And I've been involved in politics all my adult life, and I'm now the leader of the council.
Ah, fantastic. Would you remember that game? Do you remember
I
how
do.
hideous it was?
I do. I remember a lot of incidents like that during the time that I spent watching. I mean, I still watch them now. I'm a North London girl, and I still watch Arsenal. And, yeah, I remember that. I remember lots of incidents like that. I remember when Paul Davies was sent off, the remarks made to him and things like that.
Well, do you know, you can see Sarah's letter and everything that Adrian, Bob and Joy discuss in the documentary Whites vs Blacks, How Football Changed the Nation. It's on BBC Two this Sunday night at 9 o'clock and 9:10 in Wales.
And on BBC One right now, a very different contest in which a bird goes head-to-head with humans under the eagle eye of referee Mike Dilger.
Yeah, who actually will be invited to explain himself immediately afterwards.
This crazy-looking creature is a secretary bird, and this video of him attacking a fake snake with a powerful kick has had more than 1 million views online. It's not Maddie's striking appearance that's attracted so much attention, but his very particular hunting technique. Secretary birds roam the savannas of sub-Saharan Africa. Unlike other birds of prey that plummet from the skies and use their talons to catch their quarry, this bird relies on its powerful legs to deliver a kick that's fast, precise and deadly. The Hawk Conservancy Trust here in Hampshire is one of the few places in the whole of the UK with captive secretary birds, and later on we'll be pitting humans against birds to see who has the most powerful kick. Inspired by the video, one scientist wanted to conduct an experiment to test the strike force of a secretary bird.
I've been fascinated by secretary birds for about 30 years. When I was a kid, I was just really taken aback by their very regal posture, their slightly odd, stiff way of walking, and of course this infamous way of dispatching their prey with these huge, huge kicks. And really that's led me to kind of think of them a bit like sort of a ninja bird of prey on stilts.
Now, as a scientist, it's the kick you're fascinated in, particularly. How do you measure that?
Exactly. It's actually really hard, of course, to measure how hard something's kicking, and that's where, the Hawk Conservancy comes in with their highly trained birds, and I teamed up with scientist Dr. Monica Daly, who is an expert in biomechanics, and she knows an awful lot about how things move, and as a team, we were able to sort of crack this question.
So, Monica, how do you record this fabulous bird in action?
What we have is a portable force platform that we'll set up within the enclosure, and that's synced to a laptop computer where we'll record all of the measurements.
And how do you persuade the bird to strike a precise area, like the plate?
That's what this is for.
So it's going to go for that snake?
It's going to go for the rubber snake.
To put this in context, we want to compare the bird's kick to the force a human can generate with a special one-show kick-off. And who better to pit against the kicking powers of the secretary bird than, no, not me, but two secretaries. Marketing Administrator Lorraine Flavel and Administrative Officer Michelle Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event. Who will be the king or queen of the kick? First up in the avian corner, weighing in at just 4 kilograms, is Maddie, the secretary bird. Whoa. Power, precision and speed. That strike comes out of nowhere. Maddie's kick is 6.1 times his body weight and is delivered in just 15 milliseconds, 1/10 of the time it takes to blink an eye, and enough force to kill a snake. We can see how lethal Maddie can be, but how will our human secretaries compare? Weighing in at 63 kilos, Michelle. And she lost her shoe in the process. Top marks for enthusiasm, though, and a kick of 5.1 times her body weight. But with a faster and more powerful kick, Maddie is still in the lead. Last but not least, weighing 61 kilos, Lorraine. The results are in, and the G-force sensors reveal that Lorraine's kick, at 5.5 times her body weight, is good, but not good enough. With a more powerful kick that's also 2.5 times faster than a human, the secretary bird is the winner. I love it when humans come second in a wildlife showdown. It might look ungainly, but the secretary bird's kick is highly effective and deadly, and the accuracy is incredibly well coordinated too. Our two human secretaries were no match for this elite hunter.
Well, apart from the time when you tried to stick to a wall like a limpet, that's up there with one of your most random films.
British science at its best.
Yeah, what an experiment. OK, Mike, so we're going to move on to more kind of hunting animals now and their techniques.
Animal defences. We're starting with this bizarre animal called a hagfish. 300 million years old, incredibly primitive, lives at the bottom of the ocean. Any idea, Adrian, how this protects itself from being eaten?
Did it just lash out with its tail and strangle the assailant?
I'm afraid not. It produces this copious amount of slime.
Look at this.
And we're talking litres of it. So what happens is, any predator gets hold of it, gets a mouthful of slime, it blocks the gills so it kills fish, and they're even capable of creating a knot, an overhand knot, and working that knot all the way down the body, and then slipping away, and the predator ends up with slimy mouth.
Nice.
There we go.
All
One
right.
for one, Adrian. The
Let's
next
go to
one.
the boxer crab. Or the pom-pom crab.
Little tiny crab from the Indo-Pacific Ocean. Small pincers. Any idea how it protects itself? Mr. Childs, you're starting.
You'll never guess this. You'll never guess it.
Just general sarcastic insults.
Correct. No, it's called a pom-pom crab.
Yeah.
The pincers are tiny, so it can't actually protect itself. So
Cheerleading.
it picks up some anemones, some stinging anemones, and carries them around as pom-poms. So if any predator tries to come, it has have a load of that, and then stings them in the mouth.
So they're stingy pom-poms.
They're stingy pom-poms. Astonishing.
He looks like a bridesmaid of the
cricket in 10 seconds. An armoured ground cricket. Any idea?
Oh, it gets its bat out? I don't know. I see that.
It squirts out of its exoskeleton around its eyes this astonishing green blood. And look at that.
Oh, goodness
Have
me.
some of that. And obviously the predator backs off straight away. Animal defences, there you go.
There you go.
None for three, but very good guesses.
Mike,
Well,
still got
listen,
it.
cheers, Mike.
Likewise, Adrian.
From that footage to this footage, because many people will be familiar with scenes like this. Have a look at these youngsters needlessly tearing around the streets in cars designed to make as much noise as possible.
Now, the police are doing their best, but Alex Riley reckons in one part of the UK at least, boy and girl racers are going legit.
Over the last decade, Northern Ireland has become embroiled in public outrage over so-called boy racer culture. But an intrepid group of young car enthusiasts have turned the story on its head by setting up special events that lets them enjoy their cars without fear of upsetting the neighbours.
The car scene, you know, people associate it with boy racers, but it's not always the case, you know.
One of the most popular events is Car Culture Live in Downpatrick, Northern Ireland. Adam McAllister is one of the founders. He set up the event in 2012 as a place car lovers could come to show off their prized possessions. How many came in the first year you did it?
First year we had about 1,500. Second year we had about 5,400. Right. Year after that we had about 8,600.
The event is about much more than hanging out and enjoying the gleaming motors. There's some very serious competition at stake. Proud owners compete for awards in 9 different categories, including Best Wheels, Best Engine Bay, and the coveted Car of the Show. And it isn't just the boys getting in on the action.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Alex.
Hello, Alex.
Nice
I'm
to meet
Zoe.
you.
Yeah.
Hi. So this is a Subaru Impreza, but it's not totally standard, is it?
No, definitely not. It's far from standard. It's a WRX, so we've just a lot of modifications to it.
These wheels are magnificent.
I got the idea from American Subarus. Them wheels are probably up on £1,000, so they are.
And so do you spend all your spare money? Does it go into getting your car?
Well, I work for my car, so after I have paid my bills, all my spare cash goes to it.
Time to go for a spin.
So the social scene is a big part of it for you?
Oh yes, I'm sort of like always at something, you know, like a show at the weekend, or I'm going to, you know, like CCM like every other Thursday.
CCM, what is it?
It's in a Baptist church, so it's sort of really good people.
In a
coming.
church?
Yeah.
In a church? I thought that car modifiers were the devil.
I thought they were too, apparently.
I wasn't expecting Zoe to tell me that a local pastor hosts a car meet at his church.
Do you think the press that these enthusiasts get is unfair? They're unfairly demonised, perhaps?
In any group, you're going to have some people who are a bit mad. I mean, there are bird watchers who go up and steal birds and do stupid things. Bird watchers aren't dangerous, you know. No. And these are just guys who love cars. And you can do that responsibly. Mm-hmm. And part of it is giving them a place to do it safely.
Back at the car show, it's judgment time. It's not about how much your car cost, but how much effort and graft you've put into it.
So Rollo, you're the judge of the Show and Shine competition. What exactly are you looking for?
It's the level of cleanliness of the vehicle, how much time and effort, the level of detail they've gone into to present their car in the best possible way.
Zoe's done all she can. Now all she can do is wait as Judge Rollo tots up her overall score.
So they've rolled 83 out of 100.
That's really good. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Will that get you a prize, do you think? 83?
I have no idea, but I'm really happy with the score of it, you know, out of 100.
The big moment has come, and it's success for Zoe. She picks up her first ever trophy for runner-up in the Best Japanese Car category.
Yeah, it means so much to actually win something and get like total recognition for my work for my car.
I'm really impressed with what Adam and his friends have managed to achieve, and I've learned something too. Never judge a person by the car that they drive.
I would never have guessed that about you. That you don't like washing cars. I love it. I'll come and do yours.
The level of cleanliness was the horror thought. Anyway, Adrian, thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. Whites vs Blacks, How Football Changed the Nation, is on BBC Two this Sunday at 9 o'clock.
I'll be back tomorrow with David Walliams there and Giles right here. And Callum Scott, whose hit song Dancing on My Own made him an overnight sensation, will be here too, singing his latest song. See you then. Bye.
Good night. Bye.